How helpful has it been to kind of find a niche in the industry and kind of your focus is on that flexibility element, as you say, to kind of give you a point of difference? And with the fitness industry becoming busier, maybe.
Oh, definitely. Trust me, it wasn't easy at the beginning. I remember I was sitting at home. I lived with my mum at the time, and I was sitting at home, and I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to go into the gym and walk around and actually approach people and say, hey, do you want to do some personal training? I literally was paying for this membership to be there. And there's one day and I was like, I don't even want to go in there.
Roger, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on.
So we were just kind of laughing off air because I'm sure you've done lots of interviews, and today it's less about your expertise and more about how you've turned your expertise into a business, which I think is going to be a really refreshing conversation for our audience to hear, but hopefully interesting for you to kind of reflect back on your own journey as well.
Really interested to get into this because I love like the business side of things or the business aspect of it. A lot of interviews I do are more about like, my style of movement and my style of coaching and what people can get. Whereas this is kind of more like a look behind the scenes of how that translates, I guess, into a business. So
exactly.
Excited to dive in.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of how so many of these journeys start. It was a passion, it was a hobby, it was an interest, something that you were personally motivated by. At what point did you start to kind of set yourself some goals around this career? I gather you got your qualification, maybe got a job in a gym. How did it turn into leveraging that and starting to either build a business or build a career? And how were you kind of making money in the beginning doing what you love? I
got my personal training diploma, and then I started working at LA Fitness. I went into this sales course where basically you were paying like a monthly membership at a gym. Mm-hmm. So I was paying like £1,000 a month to basically be at a gym, and then you're not actually like making money. You have to walk around the gym and you have to like find clients.
And you're paying them. You're like renting.
You're paying them.
Yeah, right.
And you get access to their database, right? That's how this kind of model worked. So we got sold into this database. So you're just wandering around this gym, like fresh off the boat, as it were. And then they're kind of giving you like sales tips, if you see someone like on a treadmill, go and offer them a water and all this like ridiculous stuff. And so I'm like wandering around the gym and I was just like, whoa, this is just like ridiculous. So basically so all my stuff was body weight. That's what I'd kind of done because I kind of like skipped over a kind of, an 8-year modeling career in the middle of that process. So then from doing that, I got really into body weight because I couldn't be a certain size. Well, like when I first got into training, I wanted to be like a bodybuilder. I wanted to be as big as I possibly could. And then when I got into modeling, like you have to fit a certain silhouette. So you have to fit a 38 jacket. I don't know about now, maybe the world's changed a little bit since then, but everyone has to be like an exact fit of this jacket. So body weight was the only way I could fit that size because if I couldn't go pumping weights at the gym. So I guess my speciality from that was body weight. So I would just take people off the gym floor, like guys really. I go into the weight section and I go, hey, you ever tried like some body weight stuff? Like now it's called more like calisthenics. So that kind of like using your body, kind of a toned down version of gymnastics. And I would just take guys off the gym floor and just be like, I want you to try this body weight routine with me. And my goal was to basically get out of that gym within 2 months. So I wanted enough clients in 2 months. And I'll be like, I will train you outside in the park. Like you don't need a gym membership. I'll just be training you. And we don't need any of this equipment. So that was my objective. So it took me 2 months to get enough clients where I could get out in the parks and, not pay this £1,000 a month.
Tell me about kind of the confidence that it takes to, walk up to someone on a gym floor and kind of pitch yourself in that way. What did you learn about yourself? Was it it sounds like, an environment where you're really kind of getting out of your own way, getting out of your comfort zone. And did that kind of shape you for some of the future of your career?
Oh, definitely. Trust me, it wasn't easy at the beginning. I remember I was sitting at home. I lived with my mum at the time, and I was sitting at home and I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to go into the gym and walk around and actually approach people and say, hey, do you want to do some personal training? I literally was paying for this membership to be there. And there's one day and I was like, I don't even want to go in there, because I just go in there and I just stand around. And then the more you stand around and don't go up and talk to anyone, the more weirder it gets, right?
Oh, so demoralizing.
You find yourself like almost like going into a ball, like you don't know, how to go up and say something. But I guess as soon as I got my first client, and then other people could see me training in there, so they could see me coaching other people, and then they could see we were doing something different. Because we were doing body weight. And then I used like any asset I had. So basically, because I was modeling, I like took a modeling shot and I put it on a business card, like topless, of course. So I had this like me topless on this card, and then like next to all the other trainers, and just basically just using anything I got basically. And I was like, well, I have got a modeling career behind me.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where, like this podcast is all about, expertise and how you turn that into a business, right? So, you're certainly an expert in what you do now. And we'll talk in a moment about your kind of specialization and how important that's been for you and kind of positioning yourself in the market. But I know that you've also had to kind of figure out how to run a business and own that role as a business owner. What would you say have been maybe some of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome with that, either from a mindset perspective or maybe more practically, like understanding how to actually run and grow and scale a business up?
What have been some of the biggest challenges? I've invested heavily a lot on not on just a monetary basis, but in terms of like constantly producing content, constantly going on other courses, constantly learning, constantly growing. And like anything, I tell you what, the biggest thing that's helped the most, I can tell you, is with training, right? You can have like good days and bad days, right? And with business, you can have good days and bad days. Like the business and training, they correlate so much like together. So everything that I've learned from training in terms of like, it doesn't just go like that, right? It's not just like an Amazon stock, right? There's a up and down. And the same as the up and down with training is the same as the up and down with the business. So everything that I have learned from coaching my body, I've used that to kind of for the business, because the business, and I tell you what, with the business it's all happened by accident. It really has. Like I when I started, I was just basically, I used to just do headstands in my bedroom, and I had a camera on the side. This is like right at the beginning of Instagram. And I'd film myself and, I'd put everything up, and I would just every day. And just the fact that there was a camera there and I was filming, like, meant I would like use more effort, or I'd work harder. And then I'd just post it, and I didn't really care about how it looked, or, me falling over, or, whether there was plants all nicely in the background, like more like what I do now, right? It was just a mess. It was just a little room that I was renting, and it was just me training. And, can't remember where I was going.
Well, the comparison between kind of getting it right all the time and it actually just being a journey.
Yeah, and then so from then it was just like, so that all happened by accident. And then people started following me on Instagram and started getting more interested in what I did. And then like from training, that led to my TED Talk. So, and then like from the TED Talk, that led to a company writing to me and saying, hey, you ever thought about doing a book? And then I did a book, and then people were talking about the book and going, oh, you should put this on video. And then that led to the app. So what I'm saying, it was never like, right, I'm going to do this, and this. It's just that each time I did one thing, it was like, then the next kind of door opened. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'll write a book. And then suddenly next door opened. And then I'm done an app. And then suddenly it's like, oh, now this is where, do you know what I mean? So it wasn't like, all right, these are the steps I'm going to take. It's just, I took one, I invested in it heavily, and then I did a good job on it. And then from that, more opportunities just arose.
Yeah. And I mean, it's funny because often I listen to people like you who I'm interviewing on a podcast like this, and you describe it as accidental, but for somebody listening at home who's kind of struggling or can't figure out how to build an audience or isn't getting that traction, what I'm hearing from you is that there was almost like this willingness to just give it a go and not take it too seriously. And like when you describe just like doing handstands or headstands in your room and filming it and it not needing to be perfect, I'm always encouraging my clients when they're first starting out to just approach it like that. Like it doesn't need to be perfect. You're better off getting it done, getting it out there, being visible, sharing your expertise and not taking everything so seriously than overthinking it and then not doing it. And then because, in that way, the opportunities are never going to come. Like from what you're sharing, you put yourself in a position to be able to receive new opportunities, if that makes sense.
You have to, and it's because it's never perfect at the beginning. The same as like my app now, for example, like it's changed so much. But like it was when I launched it, it's changed. We could change the whole layout like 3 different times because like it wasn't working, and then like we needed to change something, and we added something. What I could have done is at the beginning, I could have gone, no, it's not right yet. We need to change this and this. Rather than just get it out there, get the actual feedback from the customers.
Yeah,
let them experience. And they might love it and go, I really like this part of it, which you didn't even think was a good idea. So you get it out into the market, let the feedback from the customers come, and then change it, then keep adapting, then keep changing.
Yeah. And I think what happens is people look at maybe somebody like you who's, been training for 18, 20 years or whatever it's been for you, and you've got an app and it's been reiterated 3 times, and they look at what you're doing, even though they're just starting out, and think, I need to be there. I need to be where Roger is, or I need to have a perfect app, and forget that behind the scenes, there's this long journey of steps and, things that maybe didn't go so well and mistakes that were made, and like redesigning it 3 times or whatever. And then it got to a stage where, probably now you're happy with it, but it didn't start that way.
Oh, definitely. And no, I'm never happy with
it. How helpful has it been to kind of find a niche in the industry and kind of your focus is on that flexibility element, as you say, to kind of give you a point of difference? And with the fitness industry becoming busier, maybe more crowded, I hesitate to use the word saturated because I always think there's space for everybody. But does it really help you to kind of own your space and your message more so than if you were just generalized?
Yeah, I guess, it's slightly different, right? Because I was talking about flexibility when I was like in my, like mid to late 20s. Because, I wanted to try my hand at gymnastics because as I said, I got into a lot of body weight. I wanted to try my hand at gymnastics. And when I went into gymnastics, I thought it was just, you just needed to be strong. And I got like a really harsh realization and lesson that, you need to be flexible. And if you're not flexible, you can't do 90% of the work that they do in gymnastics. Right? You have to have this base of flexibility. And I was, I couldn't touch my toes. I couldn't sit in a squat. I couldn't do bait, obviously, because I've just been, trying to look like Arnie for the last 5-6 years. So, I got a harsh realization. So I was like, I need to get my flexibility back. My goal for, nearly 15 years now has been, getting my flexibility back, reopening my body. So I find it, to be honest, I found it quite easy going to the market because I was just like, I was the tight guy. I got my flexibility back. You can do too. Yeah. Rather than, I'm not saying like I'm a gymnast. I've always been flexible and get flexible like me. I'm saying, look, I was trying to be, I was like, and trust me, like I'm not like, what would you call like naturally flexible. Like it's taken like a lot of work. So I kind of say it was straight away. My messaging was like, get your flexibility back, and the word "back" was so important because it was a big realization for me that I was flexible when I was younger. When I saw these kids in gymnastics halls, and they're like crazy flexible and doing all these moves, I'm like, I'm trying to get back to Roger when he was 4 years old, right? I'm trying to get back. So it's always been about getting the flexibility back. And to be honest, there hasn't been really, I guess, a lot of people within my space.
And that kind of leads nicely into your TED Talk, which I'd love for you to just share a little bit about how that came about. And, at last look, today it's almost at 4 million views on YouTube, probably more with the way, you know, videos are disseminated across the internet. But I mean, that's phenomenal. Tell us, for those who haven't heard your TED Talk, tell us like the crux of it and why you think it resonated with so many people.
Yeah, I mean, that's insane. Like the numbers that it's on now, like when I did that TED Talk, there was probably like 6 or 7 people on the same day that did their own, you know, their own talks. And for some reason, like mine just started going up, and it was just going up, and it's just insane. It just resonated with so many people. I mean, firstly, what people need to know is that there's a lot of work that went into that behind the scenes, right? Mm-hmm. That took a year of preparation. It wasn't like, I'm just going to practice this for a week. Every single word that I said on that TED stage was rehearsed. It was said walking down the street. It was said on trains. It was said in between personal training sessions. Every single word was known, right? I knew it word for word. I could say it in my sleep, right? And you know, so that was a word for word talk that I'd practiced for a year. So, I mean, it's important people know there was a lot of preparation and a lot of, which I'm glad I did, because you know, I'm sure that would have helped, because I really was very clear on exactly what I wanted to say. And I made sure by knowing it word for word, I couldn't mess up.
I love it.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate you spending this hour with us and sharing your journey. Really inspiring. And thanks for joining me for the episode.
Cool, Lauren. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on and allowing me to spread the message.